the 2002 Winter Games, WTHR, Channel 13, Indianapolis.
Coming together. Let the games begin. Salt Lake City welcomes the world to the 19th Olympic Winter Games. Great expectations, unprecedented security, and zero tolerance. A U.S. athlete already banned for drugs. Fatal journey. What brought down Flight 587? Tonight, new clues from the investigation and a warning to airline pilots. In depth, the accused. Disturbing new information tonight about the so-called 20th hijacker. What he learned at flight school, how he was stopped. And the legacy. 3 generations of Olympians and one family in the face of tragedy, keeping the dreams of gold alive.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from the Olympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City.
Good evening. This is the first time that the Olympic Games have been held in America while this country is at war. And that will be an unspoken part of the opening ceremonies tonight in that stadium behind me in Salt Lake City. Ceremonies that will be attended by President Bush and also a delegation of New York City firemen, policemen, and other emergency workers who will carry into the stadium a flag that flew over the World Trade Center. We begin our coverage tonight with NBC's David Bloom in downtown Salt Lake City. David?
Tom, tonight marks the first real test of Olympic security. There are snipers on the stadium roof, Black Hawk helicopters circling overhead. The airspace shut down for 45 miles. But despite all that, the mood here in Salt Lake is upbeat, apprehensive, but upbeat. With snow blowing, winds gusting, saws buzzing, troops offloading, roads closing, crowds forming, and the Olympic torch on its final lap. The countdown clock stands at 0. Tonight, in a burst of patriotism, the games finally begin.
USA!
A morning snowstorm and 30-mile-per-hour winds cancel the first ski jumping events, but dust the Wasatch Mountains for Air Force One's arrival. President Bush today confident that terrorism will not mar these Olympics.
I'm so confident about the security's condition I've came.
Tonight's well-rehearsed opening ceremony features the traditional Olympic flag and, far more poignant for Americans, the Ground Zero flag. Flown over the World Trade Center, found in its rubble. It'll be carried into Olympic Stadium tonight by American athletes and heroes, including 4 New York City firefighters. Leonie Nacional survived the Twin Towers collapse, her ambulance crushed, feeling like she'd cheated death.
But this for me is like, you know, and it will be a moment that I can actually say, I'm alive, you know, and I'm happy.
Thomas Petty, from a family of firefighters, will be thinking of his brother Philip, killed that day.
If it wasn't for my brother passing, I wouldn't be here. And naturally, I'd give anything to have him back. But I guess under the circumstances, this is the best that I can hope for.
It will be that kind of night, very emotional. All eyes at first on the flag and then on the grand finale, when the Olympic cauldron is lit by a still secret final torchbearer picked before 9/11. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's David Bloom tonight. There is another very tough kind of security going on here now, making sure that none of these athletes from around the world are trying to boost their performance with drugs. In fact, one American is already in trouble. NBC's Roger O'Neill joins me now from the nerve center of the enforcement effort. Roger?
Tom, good evening from the Olympic Drug Testing Lab. The security that is here is designed for what many believe is to protect the integrity of the games. In an NBC News exclusive, we watched a surprise test in what many has become the Olympic war on drugs.
It's 6:45 a.m.
On the road again.
And a U.S. Olympic athlete is about to find out it's time for a random drug test.
We're here for some out-of-comp drug testing.
For the first time in any Olympics, this warning: anywhere, anytime, zero tolerance for performance-enhancing drugs.
What we want is to return sport to what it ought to be. I mean, the kids who win medals here in Salt Lake ought to be heroes, you know, not just winners.
The heat was turned up at the World Nordic Ski Championships a year ago. 6 Finnish stars, including national hero Jari Samitsa, were caught cheating.
An illegal masking agent was found in his blood.
Today, WADA, the agency in charge of drug testing, announced 5 more suspensions. Officials emphasized the total number, less than 1% of the winter athletes here. When the Olympic flame is lit tonight, 75% of the 2,500 competitors will have been tested. Every U.S. athlete, 211 of them, has been tested at least once, some 10 times.
3, 2.
There's extra scrutiny for endurance sports, biathlon, speed skating, Nordic skiing. Just before competing, every athlete will be screened for EPO, a chemical that increases stamina. Finally, the urine of every medalist winner will be tested for 400 banned substances.
I would like to see a system that is so good that we don't catch anybody, because we're deterring everyone.
But Shorter admits illicit drugs are moving targets.
Recommended use as a dietary supplement.
The latest wrinkle, over-the-counter supplements, pills and powders popular with athletes. A new German study found 20% of 400 products tested contaminated with steroids. Bobsledder Pavel Jovanovic lost his seat on the U.S. team after testing positive. Last night, he was banned from the sport for 2 years. Jovanovic claimed the label on a supplement never mentions steroids. Anti-doping official Dick Pound says the "I didn't know" excuse doesn't work anymore.
If you get to be an international athlete or even a national athlete, and you've got an IQ over room temperature, you know to stay away from these things.
The word is out. Drug testers in green jackets are at every finish line.
End time, every sample taken will be brought here, where the detective work will start to determine if the athlete is clean or dirty with drugs. Tom?
Thanks very much. NBC's Roger O'Neill here in Salt Lake City tonight. Now to the Enron collapse. And there's word tonight from the Senate Commerce Committee that former Enron chairman Ken Lay may testify, after all, next week. Lay has been expected to join several other top executives and take the fifth. At the same time, some of this country's biggest banks and brokerage houses are feeling the pain of their Enron dealings. More on that now from NBC's Lisa Myers.
Congressional investigators are now expanding their probe to Wall Street and what they call the incestuous relationship between Enron and some big banks.
One of the questions that has troubled me from the beginning of this investigation is why on earth investment bankers couldn't see what was going on.
A key focus, Enron's relationship with Merrill Lynch. Investigators say this document and a related memo obtained by NBC News pose serious questions about Enron's dealings with the giant investment house. Investigators want to know, did Merrill Lynch and other Wall Street firms know about Enron's shaky condition, but not warn investors because they were earning millions in fees from the company? Merrill Lynch prepared and marketed this document for one of Enron's controversial partnerships called LJM2 and invested $22 million. It promised possible returns in excess of 30%.
30% returns should set off alarm bells. They are so far above the kinds of returns one would normally expect in terms of investment opportunities.
The document also suggests the partnership might benefit because it would be managed by Enron's chief financial officer, Andy Fastow. The Merrill Lynch report says Fastow's dual role creates advantages for the fund. So key is Fastow's role that a later document obtained by NBC News says LJM2's partners can stop the investments they previously agreed to if Fastow leaves Enron, a significant advantage which experts say is rare.
That suggests that they think that these kinds of specially attractive opportunities would disappear with Fastow's departure from Enron.
Tonight, Merrill Lynch says all its dealings with Enron were proper, but investigators here now may ask some top Wall Street executives to testify. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
On Wall Street today, bargain hunting trumped Enron worries and sent stocks higher. As a result, the Dow was up almost 119 points on the day. NASDAQ was up almost 37 points. But the shadow of Enron hung over the week. As a result, the Dow was off 163 points for the week. NASDAQ was down more than 92 points in the week. That's almost 5% of its total value. There's a government warning out tonight for pilots. It comes out of the crash investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board and suggests they are close to deciding what did cause American Flight 587 to crash into a crowded New York neighborhood shortly after takeoff in New York City last November. NBC's Pat Dawson has more.
After poring over the evidence of the fiery crash of Flight 587, the NTSB today issues an emergency recommendation. A new finding that sudden movements of the rudder, one of a plane's basic flight controls, can lead to disaster.
Certain rudder inputs by pilots made during certain stages of a flight can cause catastrophic failure.
Moments after takeoff, the plane is rocked by turbulent air, called wake turbulence, a common occurrence in flight. The jet's rudder swings sharply, causing the nose to rotate suddenly to the right. It's called a side slip, in effect, like a car skidding. And if it were violent enough, a pilot might try to compensate by pushing down on the opposite rudder. That's controlled by this pedal here, causing the rudder to swing the other way. The goal, to bring the nose back to the center and straighten the plane. But on Flight 587, information from the jet's flight data recorder indicates that the rudder swayed sharply back and forth at least 3 times, putting the plane's structure under severe stress. Then the vertical stabilizer or tail fin sheared off, dooming the flight and its 260 passengers and crew, as well as 5 people on the ground.
Most pilots don't know that you can snap off the vertical stabilizer of an airplane simply by applying rudder one direction and then rapidly applying it in the other.
A surprise that could provide crucial answers into what caused a crash that took 265 lives. Pat Dawson, NBC News, New York.
Up next, In Depth. He's accused of being the 20th hijacker. Now, startling new details of what Zacarias Moussaoui was trying to do in the months before September 11th. And later, it was to be a joyous celebration of Olympic family tradition until tragedy intervened. How one family, however, is keeping the flame of memory alive.
A legend reborn. Cadillac CTS. Breakthrough.
I've always liked natural things. That's why I use Beano. Only Beano helps prevent gas from problem foods with a natural food enzyme. It's not a drug. So if you prefer natural ingredients like I do, prevent gas with Beano.
And she lands the triple Lutz.
Why are they called a Lutz?
And she lands the triple Lutz.
Why are they called a Lutz?
It was named for Alois Lutz, an obscure Austrian skater from the early 1900s.
Want expert answers whenever you need them? Come to Office Depot, where our people listen, understand, and help.
How can I have fewer office machines?
You can maximize space with an all-in-one. It'd be nice if everything was like that. Office Depot. What you need to know. Proud sponsor of the 2002 U.S. Olympic team.
It's a different kind of Fixodent with no artificial flavors or colors. It's Fixodent free. Fixodent holds stronger, holds longer than any other free adhesive. Fixodent and forget it with Fixodent free.
Gee, these roses don't look too rosy.
Sometimes Mother Nature needs a little help. Like when Raymond's constipated. I give him Phillips. It works like nature intended, gentle and stimulant-free, unlike other overnight laxatives that contain stimulants which can cause discomfort and cramps. Phillips helps his body work more naturally to relieve constipation so comfortably, he's his usual rosy self.
Not like these flowers.
Sometimes Mother Nature needs a little help. Phillips, the comfortable way.
Next week, only Matt and Katie can show you the excitement of the Olympics every morning. The athletes, the danger, and the game's first winners. Only on Today at the Olympics on NBC.
NBC News In Depth tonight. New information about the man authorities say was meant to be the 20th hijacker on September 11th. Zacarias Moussaoui. Some new evidence tonight, including an email that raises lots of suspicions. In Depth, here's NBC's Pete Williams.
3 months to the day after Zacarias Moussaoui arrived in the U.S. last year, according to investigators, he sent an email message to this flight training school in Miami looking for lessons on big jetliners. It seemed innocent at the time, May of last year, phrased with a cheerful tone. Flying a big Boeing or Airbus, Moussaoui said, is, quote, my goal, my dream, according to federal officials. He wanted to learn to take off and land, communicate with air traffic controllers, and navigate on a long flight like New York to London. Admitting he had little experience, he said, I'm sure you can do something. After all, we are in America, where everything is possible. Have a nice day, it concluded. Signed, Zach. In August, when he showed up for lessons, officials say the trainers became suspicious and called the FBI because Moussaoui carried so much cash and showed so little skill.
I think he also had indicated he was from France. The instructor happened to speak French to him. He didn't seem to respond to that.
The FBI's top counterterrorism official, Dale Watson, now says Moussaoui and accused shoe bomber Richard Reed are known associates. Investigators are seeking to verify statements from captured prisoners who say Moussaoui and Reed attended an al-Qaeda training camp together in 1998. Also tonight, U.S. officials tell NBC News they now believe that an Algerian man living in London, Lotfi Raisi, acted unwittingly when he gave possible help to some of the hijackers who were training in Arizona at a flight school that has since changed hands. When Raisi was arrested in London in November, prosecutors claimed he was a lead instructor of the hijackers, but tonight officials say they no longer think that's the case. Raisi still faces minor charges of falsifying an FAA application for a pilot's license, and the U.S. will next week renew a request to have him extradited to face those charges. But that's probably not enough to hold him in jail while England decides whether to send him here, a process that could take 2 years or more. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Up next, the good fight. The prosecutor who changed the way women are treated after they're victims of violence.
Why do I eat Healthy Choice Beef Tips Portobello?
Why? Because it has lean, tender chunks of beef in a delicious mushroom sauce with crisp vegetables.
Real food just for me.
Why? Because my body needs balanced nutrition from meals that are 97% fat-free and low in cholesterol, with vitamins A and C and iron.
Why do I eat Healthy Choice?
It helps me do the things I like to do. That's why.
Healthy Choice. Feel good food. Enjoy more carrier comfort for less. Introducing no interest and no payments for 12 months or up to $400 cash back on Carrier's most energy-efficient heating and air conditioning systems. Call 1-800-CARRIER for details.
I'll never watch TV instead of doing homework or hide laundry under my bed. I'll be the best dog if you give me what I need.
You've got one chance to raise a healthy puppy. Introducing new Purina One brand large breed puppy formula. Purina has created the first and only puppy foods with a nutrient proven to help reduce the percentage of body fat during growth. So large breed puppies grow lean and healthy. And research shows these puppies need less fat and more love. Purina One, second to none.
Sometimes you find extraordinary things where you least expect them. Case in point, mopping the floor. Introducing new Clorox Ready Mop all-in-one mopping system, complete with Clorox floor cleaner and disposable pads. Simply squirt and mop. No more bucket, no more filthy water. When you're done, just toss the pad, dirt and all, leaving your floor sparkling clean. New Clorox Ready Mop, the extraordinary mop in a box from Clorox.
When you were a little girl, you weren't thinking about osteoporosis. Now you're doing something about it, and you need Citracal, the calcium supplement that's easily absorbed. So take action. Take Citracal.
The Accord V6 from Honda, designed to give the driver total control. At least that was the original idea.
Sunday, the CIA puts Congress on alert. Terrorists may be poised to strike again. Also, the showdown on campaign finance. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
As we celebrate the Olympics tonight, we also want to tell you about a very different milestone. After more than 2 decades, Linda Fairstein is retiring from the New York District Attorney's Office. Her name might not ring a bell, but chances are she has forever changed the way you think about women who are victims of violent, life-changing crimes. Here's NBC's Ann Thompson.
Her legacy in boxes, some of Manhattan's most sensational trials, guided by Linda Fairstein. For 25 years leading the district attorney's sex crimes unit and changing the country's perception of rape.
It was the only crime that people looked at as somehow being caused by something the victim did to allow or invite the attack to occur.
She made juries see rape through the victim's eyes, with toughness that earned her a reputation as hell on heels. A far cry from the impression she made walking through these doors in 1972.
Frank Hogan was then DA, and he said, Ms. Fairstein, I don't understand why you want this job. It's much too tawdry for a woman of your background.
The Vassar graduate stayed. Her very first case, a petty larceny.
Did you win? No. No, my first one was a complete washout.
She would lose just 4 other cases, convicting sex offenders, rich and poor, in a career punctuated by tabloid headlines, making President Clinton's shortlist for Attorney General.
What's been the most important change in the way rape is prosecuted?
Unquestionably, DNA technology. It's the single thing that has revolutionized the way cases are prosecuted.
Her most famous case, the so-called Preppy murder, Robert Chambers killing Jennifer Levin in Central Park during a sexual encounter. The notorious 1988 trial ended with a plea bargain. 14 years later, it needs only one-word descriptions.
Robert Chambers.
Murder.
Jennifer Levin.
Nice kid.
East Side rapist.
I want him.
The one major case unsolved, 18 rapes in New York City. But Fairstein leaves to spend time with her husband and write more best-selling novels. She's a role model for Hollywood prosecutors, Greta Scacchi in Presumed Innocent, Kelly McGillis in The Accused, and for hundreds of real-life attorneys.
When I started doing this work, we couldn't recruit people to a sex crimes unit. And now people go to law school, people apply to this office because they want to do the work of this unit.
To follow a paper trail of how to restore lives with justice. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
I'll be right back with the first family of the Winter Olympics for Americans' triumph and heartbreak.
Time is running out. On March 1st, Tom Raper RVs and Homes have to pay the tax man. The largest inventory in the Midwest. Slash prices on every RV and home. Every truck, camp, and utility trailer. The best deals now. How serious are we? Buy before March 1st and get free tickets to a NASCAR, NFL, PGA, or MLB game anywhere in the U.S. Free KOA camping too. Slash prices and a free vacation. How can you beat this deal? Hurry, it ends March 1st. Tom Raper RVs and Homes, exit 149A, Richmond, Indiana. Where a short drive will save you thousands and save us from the tax man.
I quit.
I quit.
It's time to quit. Quit the cycle of irregularity with Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy.
I quit for good. And you can too.
Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy. Get regular, stay regular.
A legend reborn. Cadillac CTS. Breakthrough.
You choose to be healthy. You choose to be successful. You choose to give back. You choose to be yourself. The choices you want, the voice you need to make the most out of life. Today's AARP.
Fighting pain's not the same after the Icy Hot Patch.
I put it on and the pain's gone.
The Icy Hot Patch's concentrated relief goes on Icy to dull the pain. Gets hot to relax it away for hours of relief.
It's still working.
The Icy Hot Patch. Pain has met its match.
All right, things are really shaping up. What's for lunch?
Tomato soup.
Condensed soup? That was okay when we colored with crayons.
We're adults now.
There's a better tasting soup.
Progresso Hearty Tomato. Big chunks of fine ripened tomatoes and special seasonings, so you get way more flavor. See the difference?
This is better.
How about your finger painting?
What?
It's time to go to the better taste of Progresso.
Enron robbed the bank.
For complete coverage of the biggest bankruptcy in America's history,
the story is just out now.
Turn to the #1 business news network, CNBC.
Alan Keyes. There's no issue he won't tackle, nobody he won't take on. Alan Keyes is Making Sense, tonight at 10, only on MSNBC.
As these Winter Games get underway, one of America's legendary Olympians will be missing from the opening ceremonies, and that will be a bittersweet reality for his grandson, a third-generation Olympian. This is a remarkable story. For more than 70 years, the Shea family has been front and center in winter sports in America, the emblematic Olympic family, and this was supposed to have been their proudest moment. Here in Lake Placid, a walk with the Shea family is nothing less than a stroll through Olympic history.
Different styles, but the same motto. Different times, but the stream runs deep.
The pages of their family album, the story of the first family ever to send 3 generations to the Winter Olympic Games.
Each page that you turn in this book brings back many, many pleasant memories.
Memories of Olympic gold and of unexpected tragedy.
They call me the chief now, but in 1932, I was the first king of the carnival in Lake Placid.
Jack Shea, the family patriarch, wins 2 speed skating golds. His hometown hero, Sadis, secured forever.
I crossed the tape for the glory of the United States.
Jack Shea embodies the Olympic spirit.
To promote peace throughout the world.
Instilling the game spirit in the heart and legs of his son, Jim. He would qualify for 3 cross-country skiing events at the 1964 Games at Innsbruck.
I'm not a medal winner. I'm just so proud to have taken part and participated.
Now, just as Jack handed down his dream, history is made as Jim passes the torch to his son, Jimmy. The first American to become a world champion in the thrill-seeking sport of skeleton. A favorite to medal here in Salt Lake.
We go 80 miles an hour, pull 4.5 G's.
Dad and granddad, there at every turn.
How proud could a father be to have a son that's a third-generation Olympian? I mean, so you do it 3 times over with whipped cream on top.
Proud of you, Jim.
Thanks, Chief.
Godspeed.
I really believe that he did not get the credit that he deserves, and so now me being able to help him, put the focus back on him is real pleasure.
Excellent. Seeing that little boy, Jim, grow up and to see him walk into that stadium, actually repeating what his grandfather did many years ago, I have a right to cry.
But tragically, tears are shed by his family instead. Just 17 days before the games are to begin, Jack Shea, 91, is killed by a drunk driver.
I am so grateful for the life and times of Jack Shea. My heart soars like an eagle.
The chief, Jack Shea, takes a final lap on the very ice where joy reigned in 1932.
He instilled a lot of beliefs in the Olympics, and in me, it was something he taught me. But it's not going to be the same.
Memories of his Olympic experiences and his love for this community.
Yep.
Hail to the chief.
Hail to the chief.
You bet.
Yep.
All right.
That's Nightly News for this Friday. Don't forget the opening ceremonies of the Winter Olympic Games tonight on NBC, and always remember Jack Shea. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here in Salt Lake City tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
Channel 13 Eyewitness News has opened a new weather window, and it's just a few clicks away. Log on to WTHR.com for the latest forecast from the SkyTrack weather team. You'll also see live Doppler 9000 radar and traffic eye cameras to steer you through the drive ahead. It's SkyTrack weather on the web with news updates from MSNBC on WTHR.com.